In today's In Detail segment, we're going to be reviewing entry spaces in townhouses, and all of the examples we've taken are from the Atlanta area.
So as you remember from the slow home test, the front and back entry are spaces, not just doors, and are appropriately scaled to the house. That can be a challenge in townhouses.
It's a huge challenge. I've realized that townhouses by far have the biggest problems with entry, and the simple reason is on the ground floor, if you have a garage, you don't often have enough space left over for an entry.
It's the narrow width of townhouses.
The narrowness of it. Yeah. And then there's also a lot of townhouses you enter on the second floor, and that also creates problems.
So you've got a stair and conflicts with
exactly. So as you remember from the What's Wrong with This House book, John and I have come up with some rules of thumb for entry. So in a slow home, there's 4 rules of thumb. The first one is that entry should have doors that open directly into entry spaces and not into a principal living area.
We're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes.
And they also have to be appropriately scaled for the rest of the house. So you don't want huge entries if you've got a small house.
Exactly, or a really tiny entry in any situation. The third rule of thumb is that it should not be located so as to obstruct access to natural light into the principal living spaces. This is one of the challenges with townhouses.
It's a huge problem, yeah.
And then the fourth is that it should not be obstructed by other uses such as laundry facilities. We start to see a little bit of that in townhouses.
Yeah, that's more common in single-family houses, but sometimes in townhouses.
Exactly. Well, you brought some examples.
As always, Thursday yes. I bring some examples. So we're going to start out with a good example. I have to say I struggle to find good examples for townhouse entries. This one actually meets the criteria. We have an area which is a space, not just a door, yep. and there is a closet. Yep. The other thing I like about it is that there's that shared access from the garage onto that area.
And it's also a convenient place to put the powder room.
It's great. It's very efficient. I think this is one of the few.
Of course,
that
we have an internal family room that has
no
light.
There's other problems later on.
Problems with
a good entry. We've got other issues coming later on. So let's just look at the entry a little bit. Okay. So this is. I had to really struggle to find one that I thought was acceptable for the second floor because a lot of times you have these accesses of stairs outside the unit, then you come into the unit. This is one where they've actually created a closet and a space where you could actually take your coat off, greet guests, and you don't have a view into the principal living spaces. And organizing it with the
stair and the powder room also makes sense.
This is actually nice to have that consolidated as a block organizationally. I think that works pretty well.
Of course, this unit is a little bit of a cheat. It's an end unit for a townhouse because it actually allows you to come in to the middle of the unit.
Yes, which is not always. A lot of times the stairs go up the front. But I wanted to point out that condition. Okay, now we're starting to get into problems. This is more typical. Here's the issue: is that we've only got space for a door, and then you come in, and then the door.
So you're basically coming into a landing.
It's basically a fire exit. Like it's not really. And then we've created. They've got this. Look at this. They've got storage under the stair here. We've got a triple stair situation. And then this back entry is basically connected to the bonus room. I mean, it's not a very good condition at all. Like you're coming right into the back. There's no closet, there's no storage, there's no nothing. Okay, so here we've got another situation. A lot of times we see this where the garage and the front door are combined into one entry. I don't quite understand this because we also have this door at the back, meaning this whole back space is basically useless. Yeah. It's going to basically be a place
and
that you can...
And then there's another double stair.
A double stair, and then this is really, really tight. Yeah. There's no room for both of those door swings.
No, and you can imagine you're going to have books, even if it's Atlanta's a warm climate. You're not going to have coats and boots, but you are going to have backpacks, and you're going to have
you always have stuff
and all sorts of stuff, and it's just going to sit there and not allow you to open the door.
This is basically flex. In this case, is just going to be storage. I mean, it's kind of a useless space. Okay, now here we've got another typical problem. This is what you were talking about earlier because you're coming up from the front, so this is more typical, right? Because we've got party walls on both sides. Yeah. Here we walk directly into the principal space. That's right. It is just a door. There's no space. There's no closet. Right. None of the amenities.
You see that a lot in single-family houses where you walk right in from the front door. And the problem with that is that you're not going to want to put furniture right in front of that window, so that because you're right there, you're just right.
And if
right
someone comes to the door and you're watching TV, you've got sort of no privacy at all. No. Anybody can see right into the house. Okay, here's that side yard condition. So this is not a good side. Nice. No, look what they've done. They've done 2 cheap little faux columns like that, and a little half wall to sort of contain a corral. I call this the sort of corral. You're going to hoard some livestock or something in there, but it's not an entry. They're just kind of creating a space in sort of name only. It doesn't really. And look at what it does, because your dining room table is going to be right here.
Well, yeah, there's not even room for that. It's interesting just to see how the entry and the stair in this location are not related to each other, and that's a real problem.
It is a
problem.
Where
in the other unit, they were opposite each other, and it allowed spaces to exist on both sides. This
Yeah,
is really
it's
quite
badly
nice.
organized.
It
It's
is.
the result of bad
Yeah.
organization. Okay, and this is our last example. This is where we've got a single garage. They actually, I think, have enough room here to make a half decent entry,
Yeah.
but they've really screwed it up. I mean, we've got this sort of angled stair, this sort of continuous space into the bonus room, a collision of doors here with our closet. Just all the elements are not very well
No.
planned out, even though we've got enough space.
Well, that's a real challenge. It's also interesting to see that there's a powder room in that unfinished storage area. Which
That's a
doesn't
good
make
detail.
whole- I guess it's dotted in, so it's meant as a
Future
rough
use.
but that's our in detail analysis of entry spaces in townhouses in the Atlanta area.
Thanks for watching the Slow Home Design segment.